It's Andrea from AndreaTooley.com. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'm actually in Seattle today. I'm in my hotel room at the Grand Hyatt, which is a really nice hotel, and I'm here for the ARVO national meeting, which is the Association for Research in Vision and Ophthalmology. It's the ophthalmology huge research meeting. There's thousands of ophthalmologists from around the world who come to this meeting, and this is actually my third time presenting here. I have a poster, and so I'm super excited. I just got here this morning, and I'm here for 3 days, and I love Seattle. The first time I came to the meeting, it was actually in Seattle, and then I went to one that was in Florida, and now it's back in Seattle, and so it's great to be here. I'm really excited. I'm presenting tomorrow, and so today I'm just kind of relaxing and checking out some of the meeting and enjoying my beautiful hotel room and enjoying being away from clinic, and so I just thought I would take advantage of being here and make a video for you guys. So before I make the video or talk about some of the email questions that I'm planning on answering, I wanted to tell you this really funny story about the first time that I presented at ARVO. I was a third-year medical student, and it was my very first time presenting at any national research convention. And so when you present, you have these huge posters that are like gigantic, and you have to bring the poster with you to the presentation. So it's like a big deal to carry this big poster with you through the airport. And I distinctly remember my research advisor, Tim, saying, whatever you do, don't forget the poster, because if you forget the poster, then it's really expensive to get it printed, and it's this huge deal. You have to take it to Kinko's or something, and so it's a big deal if you forget the poster. So I'm a third-year medical student. I'm all excited. I've got my poster, and I got to the airport really early. It's like 5 in the morning, and I'm getting ready to catch my flight in Indianapolis, and I have my carry-on bag and then my big poster, which I have it here again today. So you transport it in these huge, long poster tubes. And so I had this huge poster tube with me that I was carrying through the airport, and you know, in my mind is like, don't forget the poster, don't forget the poster. So I got to my gate, I get all checked in, I'm waiting, and I think I took the poster and like put it on the floor is what I must have done with my bag. And then we had to change gates. There was something wrong with the gate, and so they announced like on the overhead that we were changing gates. So I get up, I change gates, I go to the bathroom, I get some coffee, all these things, and then we're ready to board. I'm like in line to board the plane, and suddenly I realize that I like have my backpack and I have my rolly, and I don't have my poster. It's like not with me. And I look around and I look back at the seat I'm sitting at, it's not there. And my whole world just like fell apart at that moment, because it was like the one thing that I wasn't supposed to forget, and now I've lost it, and we're boarding the plane. So I freak out, and I remember like dropping my bags and saying to the person behind me, I'm gonna go run, I left my bag somewhere, I'll be right back, can you watch my stuff? So I drop my stuff and I take off like sprinting through the airport. And so it's 5 in the morning, and I am running through the airport, and I had no idea where I had left it. It didn't occur to me that I had left it at the old gate before we changed gates. So first I like sprint to security, because I thought maybe I left it like when it had to go through the security, check the x-ray machine, I had left it there. So I like sprint to security, I say, is my big black poster board here? They say no. So then I remember I went to the bathroom, so I thought, I bet I just left it in the bathroom, like up against the stall or something. So I like run to the bathroom, and it's not there, and I'm just like on the verge of a breakdown as my plane is about to leave, and I'm gonna miss my flight, and my bags are sitting there. And anyways, then I remember that we had changed gates, so I like run to the gate, the original gate, and as I'm sprinting there, I see like up ahead in the distance, I see a police officer and like a TSA security people, and they're clearing the gate. They're like, step away from the gate. Everyone clear the area. There's an unidentified object. There's an unidentified bag or something like that. And I see this transpiring like 30 feet in front of me. And so I'm running up and I'm like, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. The bag is mine. And everyone is staring at me. Like everyone at the gate is looking at this like frantic girl who's running up, and I'm a mess. And I'm like, it's my bag, please. And the police officer is like, ma'am, step away. Do not approach any further. And he was really mad because, you know, you're not supposed to leave your bag unattended at the airport. And if there's this bag sitting there, it's just like a disaster. And thank God it was 5 in the morning and not at a busy time when there were more people. But I'm like, please, I'm so sorry we changed gates. Like, this is mine. It's a poster of research that I'm doing for children with cancer, which is all true. But it was so funny. And he's like, show me some identification. And I'm like, I can't. It's in my bag at the other gate. I had no ID. I had nothing. And he's like, well, let me follow you to the other gate. And I'm like, and he's taking his sweet time. He is not rushing. And I'm like, please, I'm going to miss my flight. Like, I'm at the other gate and I'm about to board, or they're already boarding. And he's, the policeman was like, that's not my problem, miss, or whatever. And so anyways, he like followed me to the other gate. My bags are still sitting there. And he let me on the plane. Thank God. Oh my goodness. This whole thing was a disaster. And so they finally let me on the plane. I was the last one to board the plane, and everyone's like sitting there waiting for me. And I, you know, walk onto the plane with my head hanging in shame, and I've got my poster. So anyways, that's my terrible story. I finally made it onto the airplane. I was like sweating and having panic attack. But I made it onto the airplane with my poster, and there were no issues, and I got to Seattle, and everything was fine. And when I got there and hung up my poster, my research advisor, Tim, the one who had been like, don't forget your poster, asked me, he's like, did you have any problems, like, getting through the airport with your poster? And I just said, nope, no problems at all. It's all perfectly smooth. And I never told him that I almost didn't make it with my poster. So that was my traumatic experience. And now I am a psychopath about like keeping this black tube on me at all times, and I like never go anywhere without it. And so all day today I had it on my back, and I was like, I'm not leaving my poster out of my sight. So I made it to Seattle today, no problem, unlike my first episode. So that's my funny story for you today, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I've been talking for almost 10 minutes, so I'm gonna move on now and go to an Email Monday type of question where I answer some email reader questions that I've gotten from you guys. So the email that I'm reading today is from Dan Shaka. And Dan Shaka writes and says she's a high school student and she's a subscriber on YouTube, and she watches the videos and likes them. And she wants to be a doctor when she grows up. More specifically, I want to be a neurologist. So she has a few questions about undergrad and regarding medical school and residency. So Dan Shaka actually, these are great questions that she has here, and a lot of them I've answered on my things about medical school I wish I had known when I was in college or when I was an undergrad, that video, which I'll link to. It's one of the first videos I made like many years ago. But her questions, I think, are great questions that people just don't know the answer to. So these are pretty simple, and I'm just going to go through them now right here for you guys. So her first question is, what undergrad major is required/recommended for medical school? So great question. There's no required major, and nothing is recommended. You can do whatever you want. And I actually made a video about that, talking about what I think is the best major for medical school. And so you can check out that video as well. I'll link to it. But basically, you can major in whatever you want. A lot of people major in sciences because if you are a pre-med student, you probably like science. And so biology, chemistry, physics, but I was an English major. I double majored in English and chemistry. You can basically choose whatever you want. You could be a Russian history major, and that would be a great major. And so basically, you just need to think of college as 4 years it's a stepping stone to medical school. If you know you want to go to medical school, then it's 4 years where you get to learn about whatever you want. And so pick something that you love and something that you want to know that you feel like is going to enrich your life and add value to you as a person. And so for me, English literature was that. I loved reading. I loved learning about writers and talking about great literature and poetry. And so that's why I chose English. But anything that you enjoy can be a great major, and it makes you unique, and it just makes you an interesting person. So you can major in whatever you want. Okay, her next question, these are great. Give an overview of medical school and how the 4 years go. Again, you can find some of this in some videos I've made before, but basically the format of medical school, some differ from this, but in general, the first 2 years are book work. So where you take your normal classes, it's kind of like undergrad. You take cell and molecular biology, biochemistry, anatomy, neuroanatomy, pathology, histology, physiology, some kind of introduction to clinical medicine type class where you learn how to do the physical exam and take a history of patients. And so those are all the classes that you take the first year, or the first 2 years, and then you take step 1 of the licensing exam after the first 2 years, and that tests you on all of those topics. So those are the first 2 years. And then the second 2 years of medical school, again, this differs in every school, but generally it's the rotations that you do in all the different medical subspecialties. And you can find out more information in several other videos. I'll link them below for you. Next question. How many years is internship and residency, and do you get paid? And what do you do during residency? So internship is 1 year. It's the first year of residency is called internship. You do get paid. Generally, it's around $50,000 a year. That differs from each program, and every year you get a little bit more. But it's around there. Some are a little less, some are a little more, depending on where in the country you are. And then what do you do during residency? So I think I have a day in the life of a resident type video, and I'll link that below again. What is the difference between medical license and board certification? That's a really interesting and good question. So you get your medical license after you graduate medical school and after intern year, I think. Yeah, so you have kind of like a temporary license to practice medicine when you're an intern, so your first year of residency, and so that allows you privileges in the hospital, and you can prescribe medications and things like that, but you are restricted in certain ways. So they know that you're a first year resident, and then after your first year of residency, you get your medical license. So I have a medical license. I have like a little certificate, and I have a medical license number that you can Google and look up, and I am a licensed physician. But having a medical license does not mean that you are board certified in a certain specialty. So board certification comes from the board, the governing body of whatever medical specialty you are practicing. And so I am not a board certified ophthalmologist. I will be after I finish my ophthalmology residency. So you get your medical license before you finish residency, and then you do residency in whatever specialty you intend to practice, and then you get board certified by taking the final board certification exam in that specialty. So if you want to do cardiology, you would have a license to practice medicine, and then when you finish medical residency and then cardiology fellowship, you would take the cardiology board exam and you would become a board certified cardiologist. And so the board certification gives you that license to practice whatever subspecialty you choose. And a board certification is also something that you have to maintain by taking the board exams every 5 to 10 years, depending on your specialty. And so in order to maintain that certification under the governing board body of whatever subspecialty you choose, be that pediatrics or OBGYN or plastic surgery or ophthalmology or whatever, then you have to continue taking those licensing exams, even though you already have your medical license. I hope that made sense. That's a little bit confusing, but there is a difference between a medical license and a board certification. Good question. Next question. When can you get licensed and board certified, and what does that specifically mean? Okay, so I hope I answered that. You get licensed after your first year of residency. So as a resident, you have a medical license, and then you get board certified after residency. And we talked about what that means. Okay, next question. This is a good one. Is becoming a doctor / med school worth it? What are the pros and cons? Wow, that's a really good question. So I think it's worth it. But I think there's lots of people who don't. So it all depends on what you want to do with your life and what kind of job you want and what kind of career you want. And I think that the good thing in medicine is that there's such a diversity. You know, being an ophthalmologist is nothing like being a pediatrician or being a gastroenterologist or an infectious disease specialist or lots of other specialties. So they're all very unique, and you can find the job that you want. And so just being a doctor doesn't mean any kind of career. Like they could be vastly different. You could be in the clinic every day, or you could be in the hospital every day, or you could be in the OR every day, and you can see tons of patients. You know, there's orthopedic physicians who see like 50 patients in a day, and then there's our neuro-ophthalmologists who see like 8 patients in a day. And so there's like a vast difference between what kind of physician you are. So I think that it is worth it as long as you find what little niche you want to fit in, and you find the career that's worth it to you. You know, pros and cons. Pros is that if you love it, you love it, and that's the job that you want to do. Another pro is that it's like a well-respected career, and so you get like, you know, recognition and that kind of respect from your peers in your community. A pro is that you're kind of forced to keep learning and keep reading and be knowledgeable throughout your life, which I think it's good to have a career that kind of pushes you to stay relevant and to keep learning. Another pro is that it's generally good salary, so you'll be making good money. Pro medicine, careers in medicine are always in demand. You're always going to have patients. You're never going to be without a job. And then there's lots of cons too. You know, it's really straining and rigorous, and it can be taxing on your family life or your personal life. The road to medicine is really long. I'm 28 right now. I'll be 30 by the time I finish residency, and then I'll be 31 or 32 by the time I finish fellowship. And so I'll be like 32, 33 by the time I get my first real job as a real ophthalmologist. And so that limits your earning potential because you've missed a lot of years in there when you're in schooling. So that's a con, the length. It's stressful, it's emotionally taxing, kind of said that. It's very time consuming, it's difficult, it's not easy, you gotta think. It's not like a monotonous job where you can just like type things on a computer. You have to really be with it every day. You know, it takes a lot of mental capacity to be there every day and to be a physician and to see these patients. So it's a demanding job. You know, medicine is a big job. And so there's lots of pros and cons, but I feel like you could do this with any job. And there's lots of pros and cons about every career. So at the end of the day, if you want to be a doctor, if you think that that is the only route that's going to create the job that you want, then that's what you should do. If the job that you want is to see patients and help them manage their illnesses and prescribe medications and counsel patients, you might be able to do all those things being a nurse or being a physician assistant, or like all kinds of, you might be able to kind of meet what you want in a career in a variety of different ways that might not be being an actual MD or DO. And so I think that if you just think about what you want in a job, you know, for me, what I want is I want to do surgery. I want to be the surgeon who's making surgical decisions. I want to have that kind of creativity and to be able to use my hands and to be able to help people in that surgical sense. Like, that's what I want to do. And I want to do it where it impacts people's vision and it impacts people's sight. And I want to do microsurgery and do teeny tiny little surgical maneuvers in people's eyeballs. And so the only way that I can do those things is by being an ophthalmologist. And so if you kind of think about what do you want to do, what's going to make you happy, then you'll be able to kind of weigh the pros and cons. At least that's how I think about it. I hope that helps. That's a really tough question to answer. And then Dan Shika says, I know that's a lot of questions. I was just very concerned about the topics and questions. I am sorry. You're so sweet. You don't have to be sorry. Those are all great questions. I think they're going to help a ton of people. So I hope you all like this video. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, check out my blog, my YouTube. You're already on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all those things. I love connecting with you guys. And I am going to go work out and meet one of my girlfriends for dinner. And then tomorrow I'll be presenting my poster. So I'm sure you'll see it on Instagram and things like that. and I'll talk to you later. Bye!